YouTube, what is good? It's back. You guys asked for it. I've managed to bring it to you in at least some sort of theory, brewy, somewhat untested form, and that is going to be the Mermail deck that you guys have been asking for. I popped this up on Facebook. I did actually request you guys. Gave you the option between Mermails and Sylvans, and from what I could see, I recorded this very early because I never intended to make you guys choose. Sylvans were winning out, so what Sylvans are going to get, they're going to get the Sylvan treatment tomorrow. Today, Mermail are coming at you. You're getting yourselves a Mermail deck profile, and it's going to be something a little bit different. I've tested a fair bit of it, but I've made new expansions, and I haven't managed to test it against Nekroz. But there's a good bit of theory talk in there, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. Okay guys, onto the actual deck profile from Under the Sea. As I just briefed you guys, this is actually one of my favourite decks which I haven't actually played in a long while. I must apologise if my theory is off on this list. But in all honesty, I really wanted to try and bring this back. You guys have been asking for it for so long, and you even asked for it on my Facebook page now. So I've actually just gone ahead, thrown something together. This is almost exclusively theory brew, but I did do testing when Gun came back to 1. But in all honesty, I'm actually really happy with the way this list looks, and I think it's going to be a very entertaining list for you guys. So let's begin. So we're going to start off with our boy Moonland Glacier, the Elemental Lord. I'm actually kind of happy to put and kind of comfortable enough to put this back into the deck, simply because of the fact that the two most dominant decks in the game currently are Clyfor and Nekroz, so we don't have to worry as much about our opponents playing Burning Abyss and having super live cards in hand to discard. So this card actually becomes somewhat more relevant now, and I honestly feel like when Tidal is still a card, you have great ways to modulate your graveyard, so this should almost always be live on a top deck. So as long as you have a Tidal online, this card should almost always be live, so this will be really strong in my opinion in this format. Of course we have the one infamous Tidal just absolutely so disgustingly strong in this deck because of the fact that you play the 7s, so the ability to make your rank 7s and just drop 1/7 and then have this to bolster up, stick for large damage, and then like overlay main phase 2 into a Gaios is just absolutely incredible. And Gaios is actually incredibly strong at the moment in the meta, so this guy is too strong. One of its lead, you need to make the numbers over this guy, because there are just certain things this card needs to kill. Sadly, Mermail doesn't have access to anything that's like consistently 2/8 or bigger, so it has a lot of trouble with the skill-drained Clyfor stuff, and has some difficulties with I forgot his name, Nekroz of Valkyrus being 28, so this has a bit of trouble with that, and of course, I've forgotten his name now. Decisive Armor, Nekroz of Decisive Armor. So there are certain threats that this deck has to actually use removal effects to get around, but you want the lead for everything else. The Megalo, the Combo Breaker, you only want to play this play one because you only want to play it once. There will only be one good situation, in my opinion, in the game in which you can explode using this card, so you hold it until you can make that explosive play. Until then, you shouldn't really require one, therefore more than one is kind of subpar. There are so few good things that this can crash over now, because 24 is such an awkward number. Dante is bigger than it. Most skill-drained Clyforts are the same size, so 24 is actually a really unfortunate number in the metagame right now. So those are the one-off monsters. For the rest of the 7s, I play 3 copies of Mermail. Abyss-Teus, of course, the absolutely broken card ever since it came out in Cosmo Blazer. Send the 1 water monster to special summon this card, and search a Mermail from the deck. It's absolutely, level 4 or lower Mermail from the deck, and it allows your combos to go off so much stronger. It pays for itself almost all the time. I just absolutely love this card. It's definitely one of my favourites in the list. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I love this list of pieces, and why I played Mono Mermail from the moment it came out. For the 3s, we played the 3 Lind. I still believe in 3 Lind. Some people don't like 3, but I honestly feel this gets you to so much of your toolbox. And just the fact that it gets you to your pikes faster is a reason to play 3. Like, I don't understand why people are slowing down on that. The 3 copies of Viscund, it went to 3 recently. That made me really happy, but then I realised the deck is actually pretty dead. On a competitive standpoint, this deck is actually so weak, simply because while it makes big push plays, it gets pushed over quite easily. Trap lineup, it just doesn't have very much room to complement a trap lineup, and its hands have to be full of monsters at all times. You can't really risk clumping the deck up with too much of a trap lineup, so that's where the deck kind of becomes awkward. But cool interaction about this card, which we'll get to in a moment when we progress through the list, is you have to bear in mind that its effect reads if this card is discarded to the graveyard, not through it doesn't just trigger by being sent to the graveyard for the effect of a water monster. So this triggers when you just discard it as a cost, which is actually really important in this list. We'll get to that shortly. So those are the 3s. For the 4s, we have the infamous triple Mermail Abyss Pike, lovely super rare ones, and the double Mermail Abyss Turge, which actually really upsets me because it's still rare. We need goddamn supers of this to go with this, but I only have rares. But we play this because, of course, this chick went to 3, this beautiful woman. So we're able to do the rank 4 rotation a lot more easily again, like we used to be able to do during 5 for this format. So this engine is something you have to be playing again, in my opinion, because your rank 4s are just so important, so strong. They're good for removal, good for getting around certain threats, so you want to have those in there. And then for the Atlanteans, because this is Mermail Atlantean, it's always going to be Mermail Atlantean, we play 1 copy of Atlantean Dragoons, the beautiful ultimate rare. Oh, so stunning. It searches your power cards, it searches Mulan, that's all you have to remember. That card searches this card, which is really kind of good in the meta right now. So you want to play this, and then you want to play 2 of this, because there are going to be certain threats in which you need to break, and then you want to play 2 of this, because it means that this guy gets around your opponent's Gin Lock. So when you get Gin Locked, this is your out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your way around. Pike can ditch this, and you can send it with your Undyne. So if you have a Pike, you can search the Undyne and send this next turn. So you have ways to get around the Gin Lock. Admittedly, somewhat slow, and you might lose before that, but it's a way. And sometimes, like, having that way accessible to yourself is all you need. We then play, finally, for the last monsters, 3 copies of Gen X Undyne, because I still absolutely love the Gen X engine, and it's a little bit complemented in this list, because it gets a little bit better in this list. And I then play 2 copies of Gen X Controller. Cool thing about the fact that Nekroz is a deck right now, sorry, not Nekroz, Clyfort is a deck right now, you'll sometimes find yourself under skill drain, and of course Undyne sends as a cost, so you can summon this, send as a cost, and not add this, so your Undynes are all still live, which is kind of cool. And as I said earlier, we played the 2 controller. The cool thing about playing the controller, you will also see when we get to the spells. So for the spells, we have the 1 Regeki, anti-Gin Lock, removal for you to push your OTKs through. Book of Moon, similar anti-Gin Lock, just out to certain lock cards. It can also be a good pseudo trap. It can be an out to Dweller. It's just a very, very versatile card, and I'm glad to kind of put it in this deck because I actually really like it in this specific deck. And then 1 Soul Charge rounds off our one-offs. I'm not sure how I feel about Snatch in this deck. I actually prefer Soul Charge because it lets you make much stronger plays and lets you make very easy Gaios plays, so the Soul Charge is in there for that. Gaios, of course, very, very strong against the meta at the moment. And then the 2 cards which I've kind of been referring to as having cool interactions are the 2 copies of Mask Change I play. I'm testing this list, well, I intend to test this list, and in theory, Mask Change actually has a really, really good place in this deck. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this comes to fruition. The main reason I mentioned like these were important were that you can mask change this into Dark Law, which is kind of cool, and you can mask change, of course, all of your Mermails into Acid. But the cool thing is, when you use this, you discard 1 as a cost, and if you discard, like, you can discard this from your hand because it's chaff and you get it for free. But you can also discard Mermail Abyskund, and Abyskund will get its effect. So, say you make an Acid, you're already making, say, a 2/6 Acid, I believe it is, 2/6. Yeah, you're already making a 2/6 Acid, and then you're also going to be rezzing a guy from Grave, which could be a Megalo or a lead. I mean, even with Megalo, that's 5k on board, you're only 3k away from game, which is pretty cool. And then if you have a tribute target for that Megalo, you can get that Megalo to attack twice for 48, which is 48, 68, 72, 74, which is almost game in that situation. So Mask Change 2, really cool card that I wanted to test out. I just think the Dark Law is very strong at the moment, and the fact you can make it is an idea. We're going to test it. You can also use this over your Big Eye to make it as well, which is kind of cool. When your opponent tries to Veiler your Big Eye, or otherwise like Fiendish Chain it in response to the effect, you can chain the Mask Change 2, take their monster and turn your Big Eye into a Dark Law, which is kind of nice. And then finally for the last spells, I play 3 MST, because Clyfort is a thing, Vanity's Emptiness is a thing that we just cannot lose to. So that's the spells, and then the traps are very simple. It's the 3 copies of Abyss Sphere, because I still absolutely love this card. Its interactions are so good, it just gets you set up so fast, and lets you push through that last bit of damage for the OTK if you absolutely need to. And then one of the cards I actually hated, because it made my deck look common, it's Aquamirror Cycle, which finally got reprinted in Super in the newest set. Secret Forces. It's a pseudo salvage. For those of you guys who don't know what it does, it reads target 1 water monster you control and 2 water monsters in your graveyard. Shuffle the first target into your deck, and if you do, add the second targets to your hand. This can also be used on extra deck monsters. So if you make, say, a Bahamut Shark, activate its effect, and they chain to try and negate it with a breakthrough skill, you can chain this, bounce the Bahamut Shark out of the way, salvage 2 water monsters from your grave, and then the Bahamut Shark's effect will resolve on field. So that's kind of cool. It does a similar thing to Dweller, so it can be useful against Burning Abyss and the like. Then for the extra deck, I play 1 Levier. This is really important because you banish certain choice targets by Tidal, and this deck, in my opinion, is a really, really important deck for what you banish with Tidal, because Levier, there are so many good cards you can bring back with Levier, like your Dragoons and things to that nature, so you want to be really careful what you're sending with your Tidal, because that is where the Levier is in the extra deck. 1 Mermail Abyss Strike rounds off the 3s. You just make this off a Bahamut Shark. Continuing through, we have the 1 Bahamut Shark, probably my favourite Xyz in this extra deck, especially if we're not talking about rank 7s. Just the fact that this gets this is so strong. It's a 26 beta that gets a 28 floater that I absolutely love, so why not play the Shark? 1 Dweller, now that I actually have one because of the box. I still have no idea where my original one went, but Dweller's a card. 2200 boosts your entire board up by 500 because you're basically playing an entirely water deck, so having this out in a 3-1 Tidal sticking for damage is pretty damn cool, making your Mooling Glacier swing for 33, or having your lead swing for 32. That's nothing to laugh at, so Dweller really, really strong for that. Number 101 Silent Honor Arc, just outs, purely outs. Gotta love that. Exeton Knight, again, just bear removal. Like, you're gonna sometimes have to go off and go minus, and that is the situation in which you should find yourself playing this card when your opponent has a large hand to your 1 or 2. This is just gonna absolutely murder them. So Exeton, Castel, spot removal. I'm considering cutting one of these for cutting either this or this to give more room. I'd sooner cut this, but Castel's a Dawn. And then finally I play 1 Laval Chain. You need this to set up Tidal, in my opinion, or just set up really strong next draws. So the Laval Chain is in there. And then for the rank 7s, I only have room at the moment for 1 Draco, 1 Big Eye, 1 Gaius, but I'd honestly consider cutting the Castel or 101 for a second Gaius, because Gaius is so strong at the moment simply because of the fact that it's a skill drain. And a really important thing is that it skill drains cards that have to have attack less than this card. So the only Nekroz monster this won't negate is Decisive Armor and Valkyrus. Everything else that it resolves on the field, which is really important because the 3 good cards, Gungnir, Trishula, and Brianak, that activate on the field, their on-field activations will be stopped by this card. So that's really, really cool, really important. So big love to Gaius on that one. And then finally we go through to the non-Xyzes. We do play the 2 fusions in the form of Masked Hero Darklaw and Masked Hero Acid, simply to complement the 2 Mask Change traps we play. And then finally I play 1 Black Rose Dragon and 1 Leo Guardian of the Sacred Tree, because I felt they were the best synchros to play in this list. You're not exactly going to be using your Genix controllers too often on this one to protect your guys, so you want to be using them. You're not going to be using them too often to synchro with, but in the odd occasion you need to, these 2 should be your go-to guys. So yeah guys, that brings me to about the end of this video. I hope you've all enjoyed. It's been a little bit of a twist on the normal deck. I still want to kind of keep it traditional to how I normally like to play Mermail, but I wanted to put a little spin on it with the little mask, the mask changes in there. So in summary, I hope you guys have enjoyed. As per usual, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more of the same. Please feel free to share this with your friends if you think they would benefit from the experience, and leave a comment down below if there's anything you want to talk about. This has been Jamie the Kid 00. Peace out. Bye bye.